Let's stop now. I don't know about y'all, but they just had it rocking for Jesus up in the house today. Whenever someone gives me the opportunity to praise the Lord, I gotta take it. How about you? Are you ready to give God some praise in the house? Don't be shy on the Lord. Think of everything that He has done for you. Right now, all the way He's done for you just as good the Lord. This is an opportunity for you to tell God, I love you. This is an opportunity for you to tell God, thank you. This is an opportunity for you to share the gospel with somebody else. God is living. Give Him the praise. Thank Pastor McMillan, the First Lady, to my sugar plum over there. Y'all gonna hear her tomorrow. She's about to tear it up tomorrow. To my mother, man. She had me teary-eyed up here. Pastor, you was right, man. That's special right there. I ain't never had no family member introduce me like that before. Man, that was. I got choked up a little bit. But as the theme is said today, this is men's night.
All right.
Women, we appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Give us all the love and support. But tonight I'm speaking to the men.
All right.
Okay? And you know, men, I just want to be a reminder to you today of who you are and whose you are. And so what I would like for all of you to do right now is stand for the reading of God's Word. If you have your Bibles, turn to a very familiar passage. Some of you may know this by heart. As I said, I think it's good to be a reminder to the fellas on today. I want you to turn to Psalm 23.
All right.
Turn to Psalm 23. I will be reading to you from the New King James Version of the Bible. Psalm 23. If you know it, signify by saying amen. Amen. And it reads as follows. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death,
Yes.
I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Go back to verse 1, part A. The Lord is my shepherd. You may be seated. Today I want to speak to you as a simple title. Because the Lord is my shepherd.
All right.
Amen.
You know, I remember when I was younger, I was given a miniature green Bible as a gift from the church. It was probably either the layman's or the deacons that gave it to me when I was younger. It was a small Bible, and in the front of the Bible, it read the New Testament. But when I opened up the Bible, it did not start with the Gospel of Matthew. It actually started with the Psalms. For those of you who don't know, the book of Psalms is located in the Old Testament of the Bible, not the New. And so I thought to myself, why would they say that this Bible was the New Testament, but began with the Psalms? What was so important about the Psalms that they had to include it with the books of the New Testament? So I started reading the Psalms, and I began to see why they included it. You see, the Psalms are a collection of prayers, praises, songs, and lamentations. But they are also thoughts, expressions, testimonies of what someone has experienced, gone through, witnessed, and participated in. They are emotions and feelings poured out on paper. They're the journals and diaries of those who came before us. And as a people, we find comfort in knowing that we are not the only ones who face the problems and situations we are going through today. We find comfort in knowing we are not by ourselves, that we are not alone in this journey. That there's someone who has dealt with what we're going through and made it out on top. The Psalms, my brothers, demonstrate the struggles of people, but it also recognizes that we were never, ever by ourselves. That God has always been there. And by reading the Psalms, what I discovered is that the New Testament may teach you how to live your life, but the Psalms will help you get through it. The New Testament can teach you how to live life, but the Psalms can help you survive life. The Gospels can teach you how to love one another, but the Psalms will help you endure the hardness of relationships. The Pauline letters will teach you how to stand up for your faith, but the Psalms will help you find strength in your faith. The book of Revelations will tell you that Jesus is coming back, but the Psalms will help you find joy until he does. See, the New Testament teaches you how to live life, but the Psalms will help you survive it and get through it. And I can tell you that no matter what I'm feeling, no matter what I'm going through, there's always a song that can relate to my situation. In the times when I haven't been my best self, Pastor, and I feel that I have disappointed God, I turn to Psalm 30 where it reads, sing praise to the Lord, you saints of his, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holy name. For his anger is but for a moment, his favor is for life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. I wish I had some Bible readers. In those times when I get weak and fall into temptation, and brothers, you know we fall into temptation. Let a hot young thing come past us. The thoughts are in I tell you, we fall into temptation. But when those times come, I find myself reading Psalm 51. Have mercy upon me, O God, according to your loving kindness, according to the multitude of your tender mercies. Blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquities and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is always before me. Here's my favorite part. Purge me, O God, with his sop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. And when I take the time to think about all that's going on in the world today, the social injustice, the racism, the hate, the murdering of our black men. Sometimes I find myself in the morning making sure I kiss my wife and telling her I love her, because I don't know if I'm going to ever come back home to her. I'm afraid of leaving my house sometimes. I think some cop may misprofile me and think I'm somebody else, because in their world we all look alike. And it's in those moments that I turn to Psalm 59. Deliver me from my enemies, O God. Defend me from those who rise against me. Deliver me from the workers of iniquity. And save me from bloodthirsty men. For look, they lie in wait for my life. The mighty gather against me. Not for my transgressions or for my sin. They run to prepare themselves through no fault of mine. In other words, There are people trying to take me out.
That's right.
Brothers, there are people trying to take us out.
Yeah.
No matter where we're going, they're trying to forget to take us out.
Yeah.
We forget to turn on a traffic signal. They're trying to take us out.
Yeah.
We put our hands in the air when they say freeze.
Yeah.
They try to take us out.
Right.
We follow directions that they give us, and guess what? They still find a way to take us out. They got us subdued and secured on the ground, and guess what? They still trying to take us out. We're currently living under a presidency whose slogan is "Make America Great Again." And brothers, I had to ask myself, when was America ever great for us? I remember the times when they lynched us. I remember the times when they didn't give us equal pay. When was America ever great for us? And it's in those times that I found myself in Psalm 13. How long, O Lord, will you forget me? How long will you hide your face from me? How long shall I take counsel in my soul, having sorrow in my heart daily? How long will my enemies be exalted from me? How long, O Lord? And in the midst of my heartache, in the midst of my tears, God directs me to this song, written by David. And it begins by saying, "The Lord is my shepherd."
All right.
See, in order for me to understand why God directed me to this song, I had to first understand the purpose, role, and function of the shepherd.
All right.
See, a shepherd's main purpose, a shepherd's main role and function is to care for his sheep. Sheep are dependent creatures. And fellas, like sheep, we have to come to the conclusion that it was not designed for us to go through life independently. But we have to depend on God.
That's right.
Yeah, I know some of you have a lot of pride. I know the idea of someone else giving you things and being there for you and you relying on someone gives you the perception that people may look at you as being weak. No, fellas, the truth of the matter is that we were built to depend on God.
All right.
We can't expect to make it through the obstacles of life without God carrying us through it. We can't expect to travel through the murky waters of this world without God showing us the way. As sheep are dependent on shepherds, we are dependent on God. David in this song gives us three main responsibilities of a shepherd. The first responsibility of the shepherd is to provide for his sheep. David says in verse 1, "The Lord is my shepherd." Then he follows that with, "I shall not want." Let's look at those words for a moment. I shall not want. What David is basically saying is that since the Lord is my shepherd, I have everything I need.
All right.
What David is telling us is that it's not the shepherd's job to provide us with what we want. But it's the shepherd's job to make sure that we have everything we need to sustain us in life.
All right.
He clearly places a distinction between want and need. Sometimes we get so caught up on the wants that we begin to discredit the provisional aspect of God because he doesn't always give us what we want. We are so focused on the wants that we are blinded to seeing that we already have everything we need. You see, I was at the barber shop a couple of days ago trying to get fresh for this event right here. And you know, the fellas at the barber shop, they love to have philosophical conversations. And if you've ever been to a black barber shop, you know that every conversation is a philosophical. Am I right about it, brothers? So in one of the conversations, the topic of God came up. And the one brother was convinced that God didn't care about us because he did not get what he had been praying to God for. Now, I don't know what he was praying for. I can't even tell you why God did not give it to him. But what I can tell you is that that brother had a fresh cut that he had some nice clothes on, and he seemed to be in his right mind. So my observation was that he had everything he needed, even though he did not get what he wanted from God. But if the truth be told, that's how some of us are today. Am I right about it? We're crying out that we want steak and eggs because we're getting tired of eating cereal day in and day out, and we forget the fact that we have food on our tables. We're crying out that we want a ranch-style house with a 2-car garage and plenty of bedrooms and bathrooms because we're tired of living in the shack or shed we're living in, and we forget that we still have a roof over our heads. We're crying out loud that we want a job that's paying 6 figures, and we forget that we still have a job that's paying all of our bills.
That's true.
All I'm trying to tell you is this, that God as our shepherd will provide you with everything you need, no matter the circumstance, no matter the trial, no matter how big the obstacles may be. He will make sure we have, Pastor, everything we need. But here's the icing on the cake. God will not only give you what you need, but he is able and willing to give it to you in excess. Yeah. See, some of that went over y'all heads. Let me say that again. Not only does God want to provide you with what you need, but he wants to give it to you in excess. Let me explain to you what excess is. Excess is basically an amount of something that's more than necessary. See, David alludes to this fact later in the text when he says, you anoint my head with oil, my cup runs over. What David is trying to show us, Pastor, is that God wants to bless us so much that it will be like wine overflowing from a cup. He wants to bless us in excess. So you may be eating cereal day in and day out right now, but God is getting ready to give you more than that. You may be living in the shack or shed right now, but God is getting ready to give you more than that. You may not have the job that you want right now, but guess what? God is getting ready to give you more than that. He said he's willing to give you exceedingly, abundantly, above all you can ask, think, or imagine. He says he will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out blessings so much that you can't even receive them all. How many of you are ready to accept the excess that God is getting ready to give you? How many are ready to open up your arms and receive all that God is going to give you? Well, if you're ready right now, take 5 seconds and give God the praise for your excess. Come on and give God the praise for your excess. Oh, no, you did. Come on and give God the praise for your excess. 5, 4, hey, 3, 2, 1, and glory to God. I thank you for the excess that he's going to provide in each and every one of your lives. Hallelujah. David said, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. The first responsibility of the shepherd is to provide for his sheep. The next responsibility that the shepherd has to his sheep is to give them peace. David says in verse 2, he makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. Here, David is talking about having peace while at rest. The picture he paints is very serene, it's very calming, it's very, very peaceful, which is interesting because if you know anything about David's life, it has been anything but peaceful. Let me help you understand. David was constantly in battle with the Philistines. His own king, Saul, tried to kill him because he was jealous of him. When David took the throne, he organized a conspiracy to have a loyal member of his army by the name of Uriah killed just so he can sleep with his wife Bathsheba. And because of that crime, God cursed David's house. His firstborn son died not long after birth. One of his sons, Absalom, killed another son, Amnon, because Amnon had raped Absalom's sister, Tamar. I tell you, it's a soap opera in this piece, y'all. Then his son, Absalom, conspired to take the throne from him. David's life has been anything but peaceful. And some of you can relate to that fact on today.
All right.
That your life has been anything but peaceful. Your house is in disorder and in disarray. Your job is being threatened. You know that you're not living your best life right now. And everything that you're living in right now is showing signs of discomfort instead of peace. You're trying to keep up appearances in your household as the man of the house. And you're trying to make sure that your family sees you as strong and knowing instead of weak and confused.
Yeah.
Well, David is testifying that in the midst of all that turmoil, in the midst of all that tragedy, in the midst of all that chaos, God is still able to give you peace.
Amen.
Yes, in the midst of trials and tribulations, God can give you peace.
All right.
When the storms come in your life, and the rain is heavy, and the lightning is fierce, guess what? God can still give you peace.
Yes.
When your money is funny, and your change is strange, guess what? God is still able to give you peace. When you lose someone you love and you don't know how you're going to make it through, God is still able to give you peace. Matthew 11:28, Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest." In other words, I will give you peace. I will give you peace of mind. I will give you peace at the home. I will give you peace on the job. And I will give you peace in the spirit. So the shepherd's first responsibility is to provide. His second responsibility is to give peace.
Yes.
And lastly, the shepherd's responsibility is to supply protection. David says in verse 3 and 4, "He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me." Here we see that the shepherd supplies protection in two ways. The first way is by leading the sheep. A shepherd knows the best paths, roads, and canyons to lead the sheep into to avoid as much danger as possible. In much the same way, God, as our shepherd, is guiding and leading us down pathways to ensure that we avoid the dangers in our lives. That's why we can say that God has protected us from dangers seen and unseen. What we are saying is that God prevented us from walking down some paths that would have been dangerous for us because we didn't know anything about them. God, all this time, has been protecting us from the dangers we didn't even see coming. And if the truth were told, some of us wouldn't be here today if it had not been for God's leading. Some of us would not be here today if it had not been for God's guidance. Take a look back in your timeline of your life and see where you were and look at where you are now. And some of you can testify that if it had not been for the Lord on my side, where would I be? If it had not been for God leading me, I would be in someone's nut house right now. If it had not been for the Lord's leading, I would be out there in the street up to no good. If it had not been for the God's leading me, I would be dead and sleeping in my grave. But I am so thankful that God leads me. And because he leads me, I have a joy that I thought I would never have before. Because he leads me, I have hope where I thought hope didn't exist before. Because he leads me, I can face my tomorrow. Because he leads me, I have a wife that loves me. Because he leads me, I have a family that loves me. Good things come to those who allow God as the shepherd to take the lead. Here's something that you have to understand. Sheep just don't follow anybody. Sheep are very insecure. Sheep have trust issues. The only reason they are able to follow the shepherd is because the shepherd has proven himself to the sheep to gain their trust. In much the same way, we as sheep would not allow God to lead us if he did not have a good reputation behind his name. That's what David writes in verse 3. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yeah. The reputation behind the name of a person dictates whether he or she can be trusted. Yeah. Sheep would not follow a shepherd if he had not built a good reputation with him. Yeah. God has built a good reputation with us, so that allows us to trust in him and follow him. We would not follow him if we had not heard how he delivered the Israelites from the hand of the Pharaoh by allowing them to cross over the Red Sea. We would not follow him if we had not heard how he led Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego out of the fiery furnace. We would not follow him if we had not heard how he closed the mouths of lions to prevent Daniel from getting eaten up by the lions in the lion's den. We would not follow him if we had not heard what he was capable of doing. And for some of you, he has already built up a good reputation, not because of what you heard, but because of what he personally done in your life. For some of you, he's already made a way out of nowhere. For some of you, he's already got you up out of your sick bed. For some of you, he's already taken you out of the murky gutters of life. Yes, we follow God because he has a good reputation behind his name. So the shepherd protects his sheep first by leading them. But secondly, he protects them by defending them.
All right.
David writes in verse 4, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You see, the rod and staff were common weapons of a shepherd. They were often used to fight off any predators that may come after the sheep. The sheep were safe as long as they stayed in the presence of the shepherd. The sheep were safe as long as they stayed in the presence of the shepherd. But every once in a while, a sheep would stray away. And much like sheep, we are under God's protection as long as we stay in the presence of God. But like sheep, every once in a while, if we are going to be truthful about tonight, men, every once in a while, like the sheep, we tend to stray. And that's when we find ourselves in the valley. You see, a valley is an area of low land between two high walls, such as hills and mountains. That's good. It was a common battleground between the Israelites and their enemies. So what would happen is that one army would line up on top of one wall and the other army would line up on top of the other wall, and the battle would take place in the valley. You see, the imagery that David gives is that of a soldier trapped in a valley with his enemies staring down at him, ready to take him out. That's why we call it the valley of the shadow of death, because the shadow of death means that death is knocking at your door, because your enemies are in the best position to take you out. But get this, when the sheep strayed, the shepherd would lead the other sheep and bring back the one that went away. And even though the sheep left the presence of the shepherd would make sure that no harm came to the sheep that left. In other words, the shepherd protection extends beyond the flock. God's protection is not limited to the walls of the church, but it extends beyond these four walls right here. That's why David was able to say, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. In other words, what he is saying is that even though I sometimes stray away and find myself stuck in the valley, my enemies can see me, but guess what? They can't touch me. They can't touch me because my shepherd is with me. Someone here today is stuck in a valley situation, and your enemies are on the attack. I just want to encourage you and let you know that you're still under the protection of God. Because the shepherd protects beyond the flock. And no matter what valley you may find yourself in, the shepherd is still there to protect you. No matter what hole you might might find yourself trapped in, the shepherd is still there to protect you. No matter the arrows the devil may send your way, guess what? The shepherd is still there to protect you. That's why I believe, Pastor, that Psalm 23 is part 1 of 2. I think that Psalm 27 is the second part to Psalm 23. When you read Psalm 27, you see that it goes hand in hand with Psalm 23. It simply says, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Well, the obvious answer to that question is no one. Why? Because the Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Well, the obvious answer to that question is what? No one. Why? Because the Lord is my shepherd. When the wicked come against me and eat up my flesh, guess what? The shepherd sticks out his foot and I stumble and fail. Though an army may encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Why? Because the Lord is my shepherd. You see, it was the shepherd's job to protect his sheep from all hurt, harm, and danger. Even if it meant giving up his own life. And that's exactly what God did for us. To protect us from the power of sin. Jesus, the good shepherd, sacrificed his life for his sheep. And as our shepherd, he was wounded for our transgressions and bruised for our iniquities. And as our shepherd, he carried an old rugged cross to a hill called Calvary. And as our shepherd, he traded his crown of glory for a crown of thorns. I wish I had some help over here. And as our shepherd, they hung him high and stretched him wide. They hung his head and then he died. And as our shepherd, they laid him in a borrowed tomb where he stayed there all day Friday night. Where he stayed there all day Saturday night. But early Sunday morning, our good shepherd rose up, y'all, with all power in his hands. He had the power to protect us. He had the power to provide for us. He had the power to give us the peace that passes all understanding. The shepherd had all power in his hands to protect us from the enemies that would see harm to us. Because the Lord is my shepherd, I don't have to worry anymore. I don't have to fear anymore. Because the Lord is my shepherd, I am safe in his arms. Because the Lord is my shepherd, I have hope for a better tomorrow. Because the Lord is my shepherd, thus we have everything we need. Oh, give glory to God. I'm thankful right now that God is your shepherd. God, you get up on your feet and let somebody know that I'm glad that he leads me. I'm glad that he protects me. I'm glad he keeps me safe in his arms. I'm glad I have a new walk. I'm glad I have a new talk. I'm glad that he gives me peace of mind. I'm glad that my Savior will always take care of me because the Lord is my shepherd.